Next up in our small batch brewing series is another tasting of Azacca Smash. Welcome back, everybody. So today we are going to have another tasting of the Azacca Smash beer. Now, if this is your first time watching this, what we're doing is starting over in homebrewing. All grain, brew in the bag. We're starting with smash beers, single malt, single hop. This is where I think new homebrewers should start. Learn the grain, make a whole bunch of batches, see how they turn out, and then go up from there. So this one was bottled on 4/27. It is 6.71% ABV. From my notes, this is a dual-purpose hop, citrus, fruit, and tropical are the notes on it. Beersmith wanted 6.2% ABV and 57 IBUs. Going by my notes also, this Azacca was 11.7% ABV, or alpha acid, sorry. This is using 2 pounds, 12 ounces of Great Western 2-row. So a different, I guess, Miller for the 2-row than what we're used to. Usually it's raw 2-row that I've been buying, but we will see some different 2-rows coming up. Let's go ahead and open this. This is using 1 carbonation drop. We do just bottle directly out of the Mr. Beer fermenters. I have some videos on those. This did use the 2-gallon, so the plastic fermenter. I've got a 1-gallon, which is actually a 1.5 gallon Mr. Beer fermenter that's glass, and then I've got the standard, which most people see for the 2-gallon that's plastic. Let's go ahead and get it in here, see what we think. We did get some hiss, so obviously we're carbed. I'm going to leave the bottom in the bottle just because the taps that are on the Mr. Beer kits, they will let everything through, and we do dry hop 3 days into fermentation, and we just drop the pellets in there. So you can get a lot of trub, and I want to see how clear the beer is, what the beer looks like instead of having all that stuff floating in it. Off-white caramel color head, all small bubbles. We do have a couple medium ones that have popped. Almost about a finger of head. Bubbles on the side are compact like dish soap. So this is 825, something like that. So almost, let's just say 4 months old. So the head is on there. I can't remember what the other ones look like. Usually I try not to watch them until afterwards, just so I can tell you what's coming out now in the beer. One of the other tests we're doing is letting them age. Usually we drink them, or I drink them every month, 1 a month. So using the 12-ounce bottles, I have 7 of them. If we use the 22s, I get 4. So this could go 7 months just to see what happens. And if you have been following, you know Mayor Solder has turned on some of them. Also, Gesture with Viking Malt has turned, but we will have an update video on that one soon. Get back to this one. Let's go ahead and look at the color. Very, very golden, yellow golden in color. It is hazy. I'm gonna say more chill haze than anything. Medium bubble level. I can make out the light box through it. Got something floating in there. Okay, let's get a smell, see if we get any, what was it, tropical fruit and citrus out of this one. A tiny bit of alcohol, sweet malt, and some fruitiness. Very low. That sweet malt is what's coming through. 4 months old. You could say that malt level's starting to come up a little bit. It's very faint. It's nothing in your face. But from the hops, from the addition in the boil of the hops, I wouldn't really think we would get a lot. We're only using 1 ounce through the whole entire thing. So it should be kind of faint. Yeah, sweet malt with a touch of tropical is what I get. Let's go ahead and taste. Very malt forward. I get a little tropical juicy fruit, some citrus in the back end. Aftertaste is like a sweet malt with a little bit of bitterness in there. But you do get that tropical, that citrus. Not very high. So if you're not a sweet malt person, this is probably something you wouldn't like because that main from the beginning of the palate to the middle, almost going back, is very sweet malt, and that could be what the Great Western Malt just has a little bit more sweetness on there. From Beersmith, they say the SRM is 2.1. I'm not saying it, but I think that's probably the level bond because for the raw 2 row they say 1.8. Not bad. For my liking, I don't like it as much just because of all that sweet malt that you do get up front. Somebody that was into a heavier IPA or a heavier ABV IPA that covered up the hops a little bit more would probably like this. The body is medium, but it almost drinks a lot bigger than it is just because those hops are covered up by that sweet malt. This did end at 7 bricks, which is on the refractometer, so we would have had to calculate, or I would have had to calculate. I'm almost thinking, I don't know because I didn't go back, like I said, and look at the videos, but I'm almost thinking it didn't, that yeast didn't attenuate enough, like it still had room and I stopped it. Now for these beers, they do sit for 2 weeks, so I would say it did, and it got drunk probably. But if I didn't know anything about this beer with as much sweet malt that's up front, I would say the yeast didn't finish. Yeah, you get that sweet malt. You do get a little tropical fruit, citrus in the back, but that aftertaste is almost all sweet malt. Then as it warms up, you do get a touch of citrus tropical in the back with some bitterness. But yeah, if I had to do this blind and I had no clue about this beer, I would say this didn't attenuate, the yeast didn't enough. And sometimes you're going to have that. You know, if the temperature's too hot or if it's too low or if your pitch rate's off, you might have a sweeter beer. You might mash in low, which is going to produce more sugar, but then if you underpitch, you could leave a lot of sugar behind. And that's almost what this tastes like. But the body is medium, and so I would think the mash was higher if I didn't know. So there's a lot of things that you could play around with when you're new to home brewing or even been into home brewing to see what happens. This was a 150 mash in. We could have upped it to a 152, a 154, a 156 just to see how that played with the body. Now we do know the lower the mash temperature, the more sugar that's going to be pulled out, which is going to leave a lighter body and a higher ABV because the yeast can eat more. Now, if you underpitch and the yeast can't get through it, if they get drunk and conk out, then you're going to have a sweeter beer. So you could say, I want to see a sweeter beer, but I want it lighter bodied. Should I underpitch? Should I raise that mash temperature just a little bit and underpitch so it leaves some residual sugar there, but maybe ups the body? That's home brewing. It really depends on how far you want to go. You could make a smash beer 50 different ways just to see. You could underpitch, you could pitch correctly, you could overpitch and see if it brought out any yeast characters. Then you could play with mash temps, 150, 152. You could even go down to 148 to see what you could get. Can you dry the beer out? So there's a lot of stuff that comes into play. But I think this is it. It was either, I don't think it was underpitched, because if it was underpitched, we might it might have been a little different sweetness. This tastes like grain sweetness, so that's why I said maybe it's from the Great Western 2-row. That's the quality. Maybe a little biscuit in there. So who knows really, but I'm gonna say it didn't finish all the way, and it was a lower mash temp, and because it's 4 months old, we're getting a little thicker body because the IBUs, or the alpha acids, on the hops are starting to fade, and that malt is starting to grow some. But I will save, I like I said, I had 7. I think this is the 3rd review, so there's 4 more. We'll keep it going and see what happens. That's why we're making these videos, to see what happens over the long period. So if you like this video, thumbs up. If you don't, thumbs down. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you know when new videos are coming out. And until next time, happy brewing.